Is your child less than enthusiastic about reading? In this video, I'm going to show you a couple of routines that you can easily implement into your day that can get your child to fall in love with reading. Coming up. My name is April. I'm a teacher and tutor. I have been teaching kids to read for well over a decade, and I'm just really excited to share all of the knowledge and experiences that I've had teaching kids with you, and hopefully it will be helpful. So if any of these topics interest you, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be notified when new videos come on. Let's get to it. The first routine tip that I have for you is to make sure books are accessible for your children. So when I think of accessibility, I think of low shelves for our kids where they can easily reach the books. I think about where they can possibly use these books, whether it's in the living room or in their room. Basically any space where I notice them hanging out a lot and playing. I always have a bin of books for them so that they have that choice to read if they want to. I also keep a bin of books in the car. I bought this little container from Target, and it's the perfect container that sits in between my son and my daughter, and I just have them bring books during a decent long car ride, actually even if it's 5 minutes. Another thing about accessibility is I want them to make sure that they find topics that they're interested in or want to read about easily. So I want you to think about how libraries are organized in themes. I like to try to put the books in categorized themes so that my children know that if, for example, they want to read a book about animals, that they know exactly where to go. So this is my son's bookshelf. I have 3 categories for him to keep it very simple. There's people, animals, superheroes, which he loves. Keeping it to just 3 really helps him stay organized and not be so overwhelmed. And then I have this bin that I labeled the Book Doctor bin for books that need fixing. Library books just stay on top of the shelf or in his backpack. Obviously, with kids, it will get messy. Books will, certain books will be in one spot when they're not supposed to be. So I like to teach my kids where each book goes. It's all about making books accessible for the kids and easy to find. The next routine you can put in place is having an area, a designated area that invites your children to read. So it could be a comfy couch. Kids have one of those kid-size recliners that they love to sit in because it's their exact size. And I put a bin of books right there for them to cozy up to and read. Having a lamp, a reading lamp for them to use at night so that they can continue to keep reading before they fall asleep is super helpful. So it could be a rug that you put out in the room that's nice and cushy and that they can just sprawl out and look at books. Another routine that you can get into is making time for reading. Our schedules can be so hectic sometimes that we just forget that we need that time, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes to sit down and enjoy reading. So I try to look at my schedule and see those pockets of 5, 10, 15 minutes that I can sit down with the kids and read, or they can sit down and read. One way I do this is very early in the morning when the kids are just waking up. I sit down with my cup of coffee and I read. I want them to see me reading so that they can be inspired to read too. So not just routines for them, but routines for you. I mentioned this in my last video about getting your child interested in reading, but it's so important that your kids see you reading and that it's in your routine and that you're loving reading. Modeling is so much better than just telling them what to do, right? So if they see you loving to read, then that's naturally going to happen for them too. And when we think of these times when we can read, just think outside the box. So there's been times where I read a book to them while they're having a snack, because they're actually sitting down and they can pay attention. You could read books to them while they're in the bath. Like I mentioned earlier, you can have them read in the car. I've taken books to the park before, during our picnics. There's lots of different ways to get reading into your guys' routine. And I want to hear from you. What are some times in your routine that you've been able to squeeze in 5-10 minutes of reading with your kids? Comment down below. Another routine that you could start is using sensory bins or toys alongside the books that your children are reading. This is especially helpful for those kinesthetic learners, and let's be honest, a lot of our learners are kinesthetic. What I like to do, for example, is well, there's two different ways. Say, for example, there's this book called The Dragon Loves Tacos, and my kids were absolutely obsessed with this book. So I bought some beans, uncooked beans from the dollar store. I had some random toy foods lying around, and I added them in there. There's these cute little dragon favors that I got at a party once, and I added that in there. I read the story to them and I showed them the sensory bin, and they fell in love with it, and they loved playing with it and reenacting a bunch of the different things that happened in the story, which is totally awesome because they're working on the comprehension. Another thing that I like to do is they have all these different toys lying around, right? So for instance, we got a pack of these dinosaur figures for Christmas, and what I did was I borrowed some books about dinosaurs in the library, and I just made a sensory bin out of it. You can also use puppets. You can print out pictures online and put them on little popsicle sticks and act out the story using things around the house that they already have and reenact the book. Brings the book to life and gets them excited and learning and playing all at the same time, and it's just wonderful. Using audiobooks. A lot of people say that it doesn't count if they're just listening to the story, which is totally not true. Listening to stories help with fluency, it helps with comprehension, and ultimately it gives those students that are really struggling with reading the chance to be able to enjoy a story without breaking down because they can't read a word. We don't want that challenge all the time for our kids. That does not build their love for reading. So I suggest that you look into audiobooks. There's actually a video that I had made way back that goes into some of the different free websites that you can use that students can get access to free audiobooks. I have some notes here. So YouTubekids.com has a ton of free audiobooks. ABC Yeah, UniteForLiteracy.com. I'll link all of these down below. FreeChildrenStories.com, Libby app, StorylineOnline.net, LibriVox.org, and Starfall.com. All of them have really fun audiobooks that your children can dig into in their reading. We also recently got a Yodo player. Let me go grab it. So this is a Yodo player, and it's basically just a radio for kids, and it comes with these little cards, and each one has a story, and all they do is just pop it in and it starts playing the audiobook that's in there. So, and there's different controls.
The Three Farmers.
Oh, I better stop it. So, and they control it. All it is a volume, and then there's the volume right here, and different. This one goes to different chapters. I'm not going to get into a whole review on this, but it's just another option. My 4-year-old loves this. There's a ton of cards that we bought that he just sticks it in and listens to the story just Even if he doesn't have a book, he'll just listen to it. Definitely some that a book, I found the book that matches the card, and he'll just listen to the book. He'll just listen to the story as he goes along with the book. I know that there's a bunch of other e-readers too for kids, that there's a book along with, you know, an audio portion to it. So definitely look into those if that's something that you're into. This next routine is for our children who are social butterflies. To get them to read, just look into starting a book club, and all you need is one or two other kids that are interested in reading the same book. You guys can pick one out at the same one out at the library, and they can meet on Zoom, or after school, or even during school on the weekends, and they can read their books and talk about it. Or you could do a club where a child reads a book that they really like, and they feel like another friend would really like it too, that they can recommend and lend that book to that friend, and they could trade. Maybe that other friend has a book for them that they could read. Basically, it's just getting our children to talk about the books that they love reading. It excites them. There's nothing more motivating than your friends loving to do something that you want to do too. So starting a book club would be a great routine. I know that there are some libraries that do grade level book clubs, or not even grade level, just book interest book clubs, so definitely look into that and utilize that resource. And speaking of libraries, the last tip I have for you is starting a routine of going to the library. I didn't realize how amazing of a resource a library is. I started going at a weekly basis with my kids, and oh my goodness, my kids' love for reading went through the roof. And going back again to the earlier tip, everything was categorized, so it was really fun for them to go to a certain section where they knew there were books there that matched their interests, and they picked up a ton of books. What's really nice about routinely going to the library is your child is going to have a fresh set of books to dive into on a weekly or every 2 weeks basis, whatever routine you want to get into. But I know that day that we go to the library, my son spends like an extra 30 minutes to an hour just devouring each book that he's picked out. That's all the routine tips that I have for you. I hope that these tips have been helpful. Comment down below. Let me know which one that you thought was most helpful. I'd love to hear it. If you like this video, make sure you give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Share this with any of your friends who you feel this would be helpful to, and make sure you check out, I have a whole playlist all on teaching your child to read, get them interested in reading, so make sure you check that out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!